Hello, Jimjamatic here. Welcome to a brand new episode of Robot Wars episode reviews. We're on to Heat N of Series 4, and as of this heat, there are two more heats after it. So, we're getting close to semi-final, folks, and joining me is one of my regulars, of course, the ranty man himself, Anderson9132.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen.
And the man who's not been on our podcast for a while, but it's nice having him back, of course. It is Brandon, aka the Hardcore Kid.
There's no earthly way of knowing which direction we are going. There's no knowing where we're rowing or which way the river's flowing. Hey, how's it going, everybody?
If you've seen me and Brandon's recent change in our profile picture on Facebook, you might get that. Why we've changed that, of course. It might have to do with a certain recent Nostalgia Crate review. Not saying which one it is, obviously, but I think you might be able to guess from that quote. But
I'm going to be doing my
Nostalgia Crate.
Yeah.
Bloody hell!
Hey, I'm going to be doing my own
ago.
review soon. I'm going to be doing my own review soon. It's in the writing phase right now.
Ooh.
What are his reviews?
Yeah, I've been doing reviews since 2009.
Wow.
Oh, it's been that long. Jeez Louise.
Wow.
You'd be lucky to find them on my YouTube channel since it's filled with Robot Wars and BattleBots videos and the such.
Hey, nothing wrong with that either, though, of course.
Oh.
But before we actually get to the actual heat, I actually have 5 announcements. I am being sponsored, I swear. I mean, I have no announcements to make, and out of nowhere, 5 appear at once. First, I'll start with the sadder news, obviously, just to not to end everything on a downer too much. But my fellow podcaster, Alex the Hunted, his grandma recently died yesterday. I just want to say, obviously, condolences to him. Obviously, everyone's there for him, and it sucks when family members die, especially close family members. So I just wanted to say, Alex, if you, obviously, hopefully, you probably will be listening to this. But if you, obviously, when you listen to this, we're all there for you. Don't worry, buddy. Don't worry. It'll hopefully you'll be all right if you need any help. We're there for you. But now to get on to the, I guess, the lighter news, so to speak. The first one is my mate, Matt. He's not on the podcast, nothing related to my YouTube stuff. But he's got a current Kickstarter for his comic he's trying to make. So he would like me to mention this on his podcast, just to say any donation matters, even £1. If you donate £1 to it, you can actually get 1 egg pelted at him. Because the comic is called Future Egg, egg from the future, because that's all you need to know about it. It's got friendship in it, you've got space, you've got nachos, you've got lots of things in this comic. If you want to check it out, he's already got to his goal, but if you want to add some more money to add to the extra prizes for the future, to maybe get more bonuses, check out the Kickstarter campaign underneath, and also check out his free comic to read with his mate called Bastard Galactica. That will also be in the description as well. I know, I swear, I don't matter.
This is starting to sound like a drug addict's dream.
I know, cause I probably should mention these guys before we started doing the podcast, but this is actually, it's one of the announcements I've got. The rest of the announcements are relatively normal. That was just the one that sounds odd out of context. But Matt, if you listen to this, obviously, check out his Kickstarter, check out his free comic he did with his mate, and he's a very good artist, so I definitely recommend him. I've known him for years. Then, of course, there's a guy called Sam Austin. He's also, I saw him first on the unofficial Robot Wars page, but he's also, check out his Facebook, I'll link below. He's selling a lot of pullbacks, mini bots, and accessories for Robot Wars, so if you want to check out what he has before things start disappearing, I'd check him out. He's in the description below. Just give him a message on Facebook through the link, and it's quite easy process. It's very quick. He's very good at posting things. He posts it within a day of me, or sending the money to him. Very efficient. So I'd recommend if you're gonna have an urge for pullbacks, you don't want to spend too much on eBay or Amazon or whatever, and trying to bid thousands of pounds, it feels like, just to get one toy, then go to Sam Austin. I paid about £11 for mine, so that's pretty decent with the postage packaging included. I'm doing a stream on Sunday. It is my platinum randomizer Nuzlocke I'm doing. It's my first stream I'm doing, so I've worked it all out. Everything's fine. That'll be Sunday at 8 o'clock till 10 my time. Any other time you have to adjust for your different time zones, but that's straight Greenwich time for us. So that's also you'll get a reminder of that an hour before it starts, obviously. But that's a little announcement for me. And also, it is Simon Harrison's birthday today, because it had to be. It had to be today, didn't it? I mean, he's 49, 1 year away from the big 50. But
he doesn't even sound 49.
I know. I was.
Yeah, no, if you were to listen to his voice, you'd think he was like 20, wouldn't you?
Exactly.
He's not aged since he started Robot Wars, I swear. But
Just think, Simon, you're 1 year away from being half a century old.
Damn. Make him feel older, why don't you?
Big happy birthday. I still have his King Bee remix piece that I won in the Robot Wars charity auction, which was good. It was really like it. It's autographed by him and Grant and everyone else on the team. So.
Damn, I'm jealous.
Well, you know what? There's another charity auction going on right now. You want to mention that?
Oh, of course, Alec Brown's charity auction. Yes, I should probably link to that as well. Currently, you can get many different things from from the robots. All the list of all the things is described below. But if you want a little piece of merchandise from the recent series, and want to say to yourself, "I want a piece of that robot," because I've got I don't know if you can hear that. I got my Coyote piece. I wasn't from the auction, but I got that a while ago. But the fact that you can actually have a piece of a robot in your house is surprisingly satisfying, to say the least. But if you want to check that out, I'll leave the link to that Alec Brown's charity auction below, of course. And now the actual heat, because we're actually finally talking about the heat. Okay, that was about 10 minutes of stuff, but we're finally getting around to it, of course. This is Heat N. This is... Personally, in terms of the heat, excluding the semi-finals and special episodes and what have you, this is probably my favourite heat of the series. Mainly because it has two of my favourite seeds in it. Probably one of the few times both seeds make it to the heat final. It's got a few weird robots in it. It's got a very, very close battle right at the beginning. And I don't know what your guys' initial thoughts of this heat is before we get into details.
Well,
I think it's a good heat, but personally, I don't think it's my favorite Series 4 heat. I think there's a few others that I like a little better. Like, I thought Heat F was a lot of fun. I thought Heat E was pretty good. But yeah, this heat has a lot of good robots. It has one of my favorite robots, and there are a couple good matches. And I think the first heat with the first match with Behemoth, Arnold, Terminator, and Rambot is hands down probably one of the best matches in the whole series. It's really good.
Yeah, it's a good heat. I don't know if I would put it as my favorite heat, but it's up there easily. It's definitely up there. I mean, I'd have to watch them all back to back just to double check. But yeah, I mean, I'd say it's in top 3 territory. Yeah,
It's definitely more of a standout heat, especially after the past 2 heats, which have been okay, but particularly Wild Thing's heat, which was kind of just showing off Wild Thing basically, and that was it. So it was pretty much, I mean, unlike showing off Hypnodisc and Heat P, it's not as spectacular, I guess, showing off Wild Thing compared to just showing off Hypnodisc Destruction, I guess, in some ways. So I guess some people kind of don't remember this heat as much. Plus, he has Humphrey, which is minus 2 points straight away. But apart from that, it's fine, of course. We get, as we usually talk about the robots, and the heat winner, seed number 22. They finally won a heat for a change after their very unlucky stint last series, X-Terminator. Exterminator 2. Sorry, I get used to just calling it Exterminator. And right off the bat, this axe sucks. It's the worst thing about... I mean, I like Exterminator, but my god, that axe is just...
I know, it's like... You look at the Series 3 version, I didn't really find anything wrong with it, aside from the fact it doesn't have a base plate, but, like, the axe was effective. Like, it wasn't good at, like, penetrating robots, but it was good at, like, grabbing onto them and pushing them around and stuff. What the heck was this axe supposed to do?
The shaft is actually bent. Right off the bat.
To give it credit, it managed to knock some Eustace panels off of the side of Millennium Bug.
Oh wow! Oh yeah, yeah. Well, if Judge Shred 2's Wheezy Flipper could flip one off, I'm sure Exterminator could do something. But I take a bet that even Dark Destroyers 2's Wagglers could knock one of those off. That's how weak those panels were. But Exterminator 2, I mean, it still had the same. It had the same pushing power from last year, especially against Arnold Terminator in the second round. It still had some decent pushing power. It still had decent speed. It had the self-writers actually got more use this series. They didn't really get flipped over very much in Series 3, apart from one time when the gas broke, of course. But yeah, it was definitely not much too different in terms of like general design from the original. But obviously, it's more kind of got a grey colour to it now compared to the kind of red colour. I preferred the red colour personally.
Yeah, I like the red colour too.
It was more standoutish and. It's also more standing out than just a grey, boxy thing. And the extreme version of Exterminator is the most boxy thing I've ever seen in my life.
This was a very boxy heat. I mean, you had Exterminator's a box, Behemoth's a box, Arnold Terminator's a box, Millennium Bug is a box.
Judge Red 2's a box.
Kinda.
It's a pizza box. It's a pizza box.
Yay for Rambot.
Yeah, Rambot's the only one. Even then, it's sort of square shaped minus the wedge part of it. Like it still looks like a square from the top, and yeah, it's very boxy heat. But this, yeah, that axe from Exterminator. I mean, didn't even Marlon Pritchard say we don't talk about that axe?
Yeah.
I mean, it was kind of
on the website. It said I don't even want to talk about it. It was that bad.
I mean, if the team can't talk about, wow. I mean,
it's a shame. I mean, because the robot itself had a lot of more potential without the axe. I mean, I think the lifter was a pretty effective weapon.
Yeah.
Yeah, as soon as they got rid of the axe and put the lifting arm on, it was actually working.
Although I think the most effective weapon that robot had was its front scoop.
Well, yeah,
because
it
got under everything.
It was a really, really low scope, and I think also combined with Exterminator's keeping of the pushing power from last series, it definitely, especially as I said against Arnold Terminator, it really got some good slams against the arena wall and stuff, and even got Judge Shred a couple of times in its opening battle, like ramming into him. Got into Behemoth a few times when it had the lifter, so it definitely had good potential. Yeah, except when it came the semi-finals. On the other hand, it didn't really. It really went in the semi-finals, but that was obviously a story for the semi-finals. But this version,
I took a good look at that scoop that they put on the lifting arm in the semi-finals. I've seen beetle weights that had bigger scoops than that. Well, they tried.
It's kind of funny, Exterminator going from an axe that was too crap in Series 4 to Series 5 going an axe that's too powerful and getting stuck in everything. So,
yes.
It almost flipped itself over against Immortalis of all robots. So, that's... Yeah. It did a kind of was that like Ramses II in Series 2? It almost flipped itself over with its own axe. It was like that. It was too powerful for its own good. And then by Series 7, they just thought, we'll just give up and put a spinner on it because
why not?
Yeah.
It really worked. It really worked, but it did hinder its speed and its. I mean, also it didn't really matter too much in the long run because it just destroyed robots half the time anyway. But it's probably this. It's not a bad version of Exterminator. I still have. The Series 3 version is still my favourite, but this one is just...
Yeah.
This one's better than the Series... I mean, the Series 6 version's probably okay. I mean, the Series 5 version's alright, minus the axe being too powerful, and... I don't know, but this one probably ranks low, but I don't know.
I always prefer
this... the Exterminator...
I always prefer the Series 7 version. I like the look of it, the big... triangle pyramid shape towards the back. You got the spinning disc that's capable of getting some SOOTAs, aka spins out of the arena. But it shows. It takes time, and after a few years, you continue to develop. And I think Exterminator really went out on a high. They made it to the grand final, and I believe they won a live event right before they retired.
Did.
So.
Yeah, Cosford Air Festival. I was there. I saw it. Yeah, they beat Terahertz in the final. They ripped the living daylights out of it.
Awesome.
Yeah. So I used to go to a lot of air festivals as a kid. I still do actually, because I have a thing with planes. Because I'm a nerd. And that one of the exhibits that particular year was Robot Wars, and it was just after Series 7 and had finished being filmed, but hadn't been aired. So we already knew a lot of spoilers. Cheers, guys, because they didn't hold back. And I met Rob Knight, Arthur Chilcott. I met quite a few Roboteers, and they were they beat Terahertz in the final.
Nice.
Wow. It makes you think if they came back for the future, if like newer series, what they could actually do. So you never know.
Yeah.
But
the last time I heard, Marlon Pritchard now lives in Australia.
Nice.
Crikey.
He moved to Australia, emigrated to Australia.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, not the worst place to live, I guess. But
all the deadly spiders.
You get used to them, I guess. I don't know. But of course, that was Exterminator, and then of course the other seed to get to the heat final, which one of the few rare occasions where both seeds actually do okay, was obviously the 6th seeds for some reason, Behemoth. Okay.
Or, as us Americans pronounce it, Behemoth.
Or Dara Bryn as well. But
Dara Bryn as well. What are you doing, mate?
I'm
not really sure why it's 6. And I can
because it came runner-up in the World Championship. Because I guess it got a lot of points for it.
There's that. There's the fact that it was a semi-finalist in Series 2 and a heat finalist in Series 3. Now, I agree seeding it in the top 16 would make sense with all those points, but 6 is a little bit hard.
I was giving it maybe like 13, maybe? So
Yeah, I'd say about. Well, I'd say anywhere between 12 and 16 would be a reasonable.
I mean, getting
seed.
close to the top 5 is pretty weird for it, but let's face it, Behemoth, has it really changed much from Series 3 to 4?
Well, it got rid of those stupid axes at the back.
Oh yeah, but unfortunately they didn't tell the guys who made the Arenas of Destruction game,
Oh god!
because they've still got the stupid axes on them.
I have that game, and whenever you're fighting Behemoth in the game, it always turns around and starts attacking you with the axes instead of the scoop.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, why?
I don't
It's just
know.
giving you a victory, you know.
I mean,
I wonder if it's by the same people who decided to have Shunt drive backwards in Extreme Destruction.
I don't know.
Oh, sure.
But I mean, Behemoth's one of those robots that, admittedly, over the years, ever since Series 3, has more been very subtle in its changes, mostly internal as opposed to external. Because, I mean, there is also a subtle difference. There was obviously a difference between Series 3 and Series 9. But when you look, when it's like on its basic look, it's not changed that much. It's just a giant bulldozer with its kind of side panel bits and stuff. And Behemoth still, at this stage, whilst Behemoth is powerful, I think at this stage it is starting to suffer from the fact it's a bit too slow. I mean, thankfully in Series 6, was it Series 6 they first got to the fast, they made it first?
Series 6.
Yeah, and obviously now, like in Series 8 and 9, it's actually really, it's powerful and it's also really fast. But in Series 3, you could get away with it. By Series 5, I think that's when they realised definitely they thankfully changed it after Series 5, but I mean, Behemoth's still one of my favourite robots. I do like it. I mean, it's just, once again, something has to go wrong for Behemoth. It's like a tradition.
Yeah, they're definitely one of the unluckiest teams of all time. Like, between the floor spike in Series 3, the robot going into stuck in forward drive Series 7, the power link popping out in Extreme 2, and the absolute calamity that was Series 9.
Yeah,
it's just a shame.
Let's talk about that one the better. But I mean, the most respectable loss was actually against Carbide in Series 8, honestly, because you lost flat out to a powerful robot. Although their loss in Series 5 was pretty spectacular as well. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah.
Although my favourite loss they ever had was in Extreme 1 in the Annihilator qualifier where Thermidor flipped him right out of the arena.
Oh, that was fantastic.
Arse over tit. It was so funny because it took it by surprise as well. It was like, whoa!
Because obviously they done that really cleverly. Because obviously all the battles have been at random, and they edited it so Behemoth looked like this unstoppable monster in the first few episodes. So it gets to this battle, and you're like, oh, come on, it's going to take these two out, surely. And it's the first to go that quickly. It's just like, oh, all right then. Bye, Behemoth.
It's also because...
that was Extreme was meant to be like the WWE version of Robot Wars.
Yes.
So Behemoth had to have the gimmick of being hard to beat, even though many robots beat it before.
Basically, it's the Big Show.
Yeah.
Of Robot Wars. It's Big Show. It's the Big Show. I've just realised that.
I'm guessing that's a wrestling reference.
Well, Braun Strowman.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh God, Braun Strowman. Sorry. James is an invalid. He doesn't know what wrestling is.
It's fine. I don't really care. But actually, the thing is, like, I still find it sad that out of all versions of Behemoth, it's a Series 2 one that managed to hit semi-finals. It's still kind of funny. It's like that little tiny. I mean, obviously, it's their first try, but but it's not very often a first try that small and pathetic compared to its predecessors manages to get through, and the rest of them just kind of like bigger and bulkier and potentially faster in the future, and it's still never managed to get a semi-final. I
will say though, considering that Behemoth, Anthony Pritchard, Kane Ashton, and everybody, they first started in Series 2, and they've competed every year since then. I believe they've been competing longer than anybody in the UK by now. It really shows that they really love this sport. I mean, yes, the robot doesn't always do very well, but they always come back. That they always come to have fun, even if things don't always work out for them. But I'm sure the day will come when they finally reach the grand final, because I hear this is a slight spoiler, but I hear the Series 10 wild card is decided in a Royal Rumble. So,
I have heard things about the format, and I cannot wait to see that.
Thank God for that. I'm sorry, right? I hate that stupid flipping. Oh, let's just pick one. No. No. Not being funny, right? But Thor deserves to be a wild card more than Apollo did that series.
That's a Series 9 argument, Anson. That's a Series 9. Talk about it.
We've been on Behemoth now for about 20 minutes straight.
Well, and to finish things off, I also give a big thank you to Anthony for doing a voiceover cameo in one episode of my show a while ago. That was really funny and really cool.
That was really great. That caught me off guard as well when I was watching. It's like, there he is.
Yeah, if you've ever seen Father Ted, basically it's the scene where Father Jack goes to Alcoholics Anonymous. Behemoth is voiced by Anthony. He does the he's playing the guy who's talking about how he drinks all the time. John Finley voices Ripper. He's the guy running it, and D12 is my shitty biohazard toy that's supposed to be Father Jack. So, yeah.
Well, we've talked about Behemoth a lot, haven't we? Woo!
Yeah. Talked about Exterminator a lot too.
No. Should we start talking about another good robot then, with a really, really awkward name, Arnold Terminator, because you couldn't have made that name any longer, could they? I mean,
this is one of the.
It's like Cataclysmic Variabot. What the hell was that?
So yeah, but Cataclysmic Variabot sucked balls though. This thing actually is okay. Arnold Terminator was definitely obviously, it's not technically a newcomer because they had Jim Struts and Mistruts, but the first main series competitor newcomer. It's really good for a first one. I mean, damn.
The first time the roller.
Yeah, first, and it makes you wonder why they weren't in Series 5. I still can't get over that. I mean,
think they failed to qualify, I think.
Yeah, I know.
Maybe they had to pull out.
But Juggernaut 2, that was acceptable.
Monad. Monad is, and of course my meme from my series, Twister. You know, that deserved to get in, but of course, nah, Arnold Terminator, that's too good, that. You're too good with a massive swingy axe, and then, hey, coming second in Annihilator. No, it's still not allowed. Whatever, okay.
In all fairness, that was filmed the same time as Series 5, so they wouldn't have known it came second in Annihilator at the time.
I suppose so, but it's just kind of weird.
Series 5 and Extreme 1 were filmed at the same time, so... It's like, you know, the vengeance battle between Pussycat and Razor, that was actually the last battle filmed, period, around that time.
I knew that, so but it's just a shame that they were... It's just kind of a shame, though, because potentially, you know, they came second in Annihilator, and then if they'd gone in the main series, they might have done alright as well, but... I mean, it's funny, actually, because when you look at Arnold Terminator for a long time, it really looks like a bodge job, doesn't it? In many ways. I mean, you got, like, bungee cords just all over the place on top of it. It's just these flimsy little glasses stuck to it, which I love the glasses in the eyes. I love that little touch of the eyes lifting up and the glasses lifting up to show the little beady eyes. I love that. I don't know why, it's just these little subtle details.
I love the metal ties that they had. You know, they look like metal because they had tinfoil wrapped around their ties or something to make it look like they were made out of metal.
Yeah, and also the self-rising arms I like as well, like a ghetto razor. I love it. It's just little bars that stick out of it when it opens, and it's just, I mean, for a very kind of obviously a team that's always trying to come up with weird-looking things. When they go for a basic, you know, lift that opens a self-rising mechanism with a box. They actually do really well, and it's a shame, really, but for ages they kept spending their time on these walkers that were impressive at the time, but you look back on it and they just look a bit like walking tables. They don't look like.
One thing that really baffles me is you look at all of Ian Inglis's walker bots like Jim Struts, Miss Struts, and whatever in God's name that giant walker bot was in Techno Games.
Oh God.
Those things are like huge, and then you take a look at Arnold Terminator, and it's this little foxy box with a lifting arm and a bunch of wires and doohickeys on top. It's like, I mean,
wow. Unsurprisingly, Arnold Terminator is the lightest robot in this heat, which it kind of makes sense. I mean, it's actually one of the few times it actually makes sense it's the lightest robot, because it's just, I can't imagine there's a lot of, like, it's a very compact robot inside. I mean, it's just made out of, like, is it made out of some kind of, like, it's made from like a kind of watering thing, isn't it? Like some kind of
a water box, I think.
Yeah, like a water container. It's like
water tank. That was it.
It looks like a water tank on wheels. Let's face it. But again, for what it was, it's actually not. I mean, hell, it took on Behemoth quite competently, and even had a good go with Exterminator for a judge's decision. So it actually was, and again against the final of an Annihilator, against against a grand finalist. It's actually, yeah, it's a really little durable robot. It's almost like a kind of ghetto version of Wild Thing. It just won't die. But again,
I'm gonna. sorry, continue.
No, I was just gonna say, therefore it's a tragedy why they're getting Series 5 even more, because it's just like, again, you look at Monad, and you think, or Gesundebot, or Tartan Terror, and you think, why?
Gesundebot, that was the double wedge with the mace lifty thing, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That
the
thing.
The pile of wank, as I call it.
The thing with a lifting panel for a flipper. So that was,
Yeah. Oh.
And they tried to sell white with that thing as well. I was like, for fuck's sake, are you serious?
You were going to say something, sorry, Anderson.
Oh, yeah. Arnold A is in my top 10 favourite robots. I love it. I think it's great. I think it's like, it's a robot that always is an underdog, but yet always performs well.
Mm.
And I like that. Again, it looks like a a small it looks like something that will go out in the first round basically, and it always gets stuck in. It always kicks. I mean, I think what's still to do with, because that was said Annihilator really, because it came second despite being the number one favorite to go out in the first round, and it stuck it to the. I mean, it took on Hypnodisc, Exterminator, Splinter, everyone. It showed no fear. It took severe damage and still wouldn't die.
It's a bit like Spikosaurus and the Northern Annihilator, in a way. Although,
but not as fortunate.
or as good, honestly. I mean, Arnold Tomic is way better than Spikosaurus, honestly. It's more. Well, it's just. I guess it's more offensive, while Spikosaurus just runs into the wall all the time.
You know what? But you know what? For a first attempt at a roller, it's a good little start.
It really is, and I do think personally, I think the axe wasn't as good as the lifter in Extreme 1, but I don't know. I mean, it's still again durable. It's still as durable and it's still, as I said, I like robots with personality. This one's got a lot of personality to it. I mean, it's just a fun little box. What can you say?
Come with me if you want to leave.
That was the worst Schwarzenegger I've heard in my life. That was Dutch. I was like a Dutch guy.
Yeah.
Hey.
I thought you were trying to be Colombian or something like that.
I can't even hear myself with my.
Mexican Schwarzenegger. Come with me if you want to leave.
Sing fly like an eagle in that voice again.
Fly like an eagle to the sea.
Fly
like an eagle.
You if you know how to speak Dutch. Oh, brilliant! But anyway,
you need to have me on the podcast more. I'll liven it up.
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah, I mean we got lots of spots for Extreme, so take your pick later. But
hey, me for Extreme. I love Extreme.
I'll play one as well. Don't worry, I can't forget you. But Joe, what I can forget? Judge Dredd 2. It's probably the worst robot in this heat by memorability wise. It's just it's weird because like I remember the third series one because of how rubbish and ugly it looks. I remember the series 6 and above one because actually, especially in series 7, was actually competent. But this one's just I don't know.
Apart from series 7 one, this is actually, in my opinion, my favourite version of the Judge Dredd robots.
Really? Why is that?
Yeah, I don't know. I think it was. I mean, it was still pretty. I mean, it managed to flip over 160 kilo robot. That's impressive, in all fairness. Okay, I know it was a bit lucky to do so, but it was still impressive. And it was winning against Behemoth. And the reason why they couldn't sell Fright was only because they had to take them. They had bigger motors to power the axe, but because they were overweight, they had to put smaller ones in. Which meant that the axe wasn't powerful to lift it back over. And
little fun fact. Robot Wars Grand Champions, which is the basically it's Series 4, but edited for American audiences. The stat boards list all the strengths and weaknesses of the robots, and Judge Dredd 2's strength is self-righting mechanism, which is a lie.
That's ironic, isn't it? But what do you mean it's edited for Americans? Like what is they can't see?
Oh yes, when they were airing
on YouTube.
When they were airing Robot Wars in U.S., it was on TNN, which is now Spike TV, and basically rather than just show Series 4 in full, they edited it down to 30-minute episodes. They had Stefan Frank on commentary. I know how much you love Stefan Frank, Anderson.
Oh yes.
They edited out all the interviews and stuff. They even trimmed down much of the matches, so it would fit in the 30-minute time slot, and they gave the robots all strengths and weaknesses. Like Behemoth's weakness is high ground clearance and whatnot, and honestly, I forget all the other stuff since the reason I'm covering the 3 episodes I am in the series was because they were the episodes I watched when they were part of Grand Champions, which was Heat End, Southern Annihilator, War of Independence. Boom.
Oh, okay, that makes sense. But
fear not. Hopefully, I'll have the Grand Champion episodes uploaded soon, so Anderson can enjoy them.
I mean,
I've seen some of them on YouTube before. I saw the first semi-final, and you can just see how redonkulously edited that thing was.
Very redonkulous. God,
yes.
It's like 90s back all over again. But on the slightly back at top of Judge Dredd for a second. Sorry to talk about Robot Wars of this Heat, oddly enough, but I don't hate this version, but it's the one I find the most boring, so to speak. It is just a box with like I mean, the flipper and the axe are fine. It's just the Series 3 one's just so ugly. I sort of remember it. So it's all the same as it's not Scorpion levels of ugly. Paper mache or whatever they used for it, I don't really care. That's what it looks like.
In all fairness, Scorpion looked like a Scorpion. You
yeah,
can't deny it.
Judge Dredd. I still don't get what the connection is between the comic or being judges.
I look at the axe kind of looks like a judge's hammer, but other than that, I really can't tell it. But I will say I do like the Judge Dredd team. They always come to Robot Wars with some different and wacky design. Like Series 3 had this big fiberglass and paper mache design with the lifting claws. Series 7 had the flipper. Series 6, honestly, I'm not a big fan of 2.5 because it just seemed too unreliable and the lifter didn't have much reach. But
Judge Dredd 3 was pretty good though.
Yeah, it was really good.
Yeah, that's my problem. That's probably my favorite version of the robot. Although I have a soft spot for the 3rd version because there's a rematch technically against X-Terminator in this first round as well, which is something that I don't know if they meant that to happen or a lucky coincidence, but either way. And then of course the robots lost in the first round. One quite unlucky, one kind of had it coming for being what type of robot it was. We'll get all out of the way first. Of course, it is Millennium Bug, the roller that of course that I actually I don't know if I was either stupid or not observant enough, but I thought that was a mustache or tusks on the front of Millennium Bug when I first saw it.
I still think it's a mustache. It says it's supposed to be eyes, but I just can't see it.
Yeah, Steven told me it's eyes, and I can see that now, but god damn it, I'm never going to see those eyes ever again. I'm just going to see some mustaches or a tusk. That's all I'm going to see, and it just, from a distance, it doesn't look like eyes. It's not clear enough to me they're eyes, like they're not... It don't make us the fact that the eyes are square, so it doesn't really give the impact of eyes looking at you. But I like, especially because the front of the robot looks like it's got a nose on it. So I just thought it was naturally a mustache or some tusks or something. But then like no, it's an eyes anyway. But Millennium Bug, just like Claude Hopper in this battle, it was kind of outclassed. Let's face it. But just like Claude Hopper, it was actually a reliable walker. It actually had a decent movement to it. It wasn't, as bad as something like Miss Struts that kind of stuttered and then eventually moved. Both those robots, to their credit, while they weren't very good fighting robots, they both actually worked as walkers, which is something,
And much credit to the team because
the wagglers.
Building a walker is much harder than building a regular roller bot. Like when you're building a wheel bot, you got some motors, you got your mounts, you got your hubs, etc., etc. With the walkers, it requires different varieties of chains, joints, all kinds of wackiness, and I got to give him credit. And it's a good as a walker, it's good. As a combat robot, no, because the weaponry on these things are. Well, to be fair, this and Claude Hopper were the first robots to have like legit weaponry, but first off, they had this lifting mechanism that they said they only just tested, and even if it was working, I really don't see it actually getting under or lifting anything.
I have no idea how it does.
and then you got this. I guess it's like a car wheel or something with a bunch of sheet metal bolted onto it that's supposed to act as a bludgeoner, which is a red flag because bludgeoners have never been effective weapons.
No.
Like, there's no range of attack anywhere on them.
It's mounted wrong as well. It's mounted vertically, not horizontally, which is
No.
weird. And also, I have to give them credit though. For Series 4, a 2,000 RPM spinning disc isn't that bad. It's just too ghetto to be even any use. But I mean, I have a soft spot for Lightning Bug mainly because of its battle. But I will say, I mean, I like Claw Topper slightly more because actually it's more competently built and also more stable than. Well, it's less bulky than Millennium Bug is, but actually, unlike Claw Topper, they actually took the full 160 kilogram weight advantage, which is because Claw Topper got to about 138, something like that. Not the full 160. But I will say, whoever put those not wheel guards, the leg guards on it, was it Pritchard they used? I mean,
I think they were held on there like they were socks. Like you're putting socks on a leg, on a foot.
Didn't the Exterminator just drive into it in one fall?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, they just rammed into them.
He just drove into it. Oh, off it goes.
Yeah.
For sake.
The best one was Judge Shred flicking one off. That was a fun. Just like little flick it off. But
I was hoping they'd pull a Minotaur and just get them all off. Get all of them off. No wheels on that wagon. No socks on that walker.
Actually, also one thing that really confused me for ages. Cause I used to think for a while that that Millennium Bug started smoking at one point. It was actually a little steam vent in the background, but it's just at the worst angle to make it look like the weapon's setting on fire. It really, and honestly, I would have believed that the way this robot works.
Or it's huffing and puffing and completely out of breath.
But actually, this actually proves, honestly, why both Claw Topper and Millennium Bug were actually decent walkers for their time, because they actually both did well in techno games in the future. Claw Topper came Claw Topper, and they actually came bronze in the Walker robots. They actually beat the Plunderbird guy's robot. Yeah, but in Series 2, and the Claw Topper was Series 3, I think.
Yes.
But yeah, either way, both these robots managed to actually get a placing medal in techno games, which is obviously, but by Series 2 and 3, the robots were actually much better than the crap in Series 1. Which
Can we acknowledge that Hydra got a gold medal in the techno games?
Hydra's not that bad.
You know, the Behemoth boys got a gold medal.
Yeah.
In RC relay.
They got several gold medals, didn't they?
Yeah.
Actually, one thing mentioned quick. One thing to sadly mention about quick techno games quickly, which I find funny, is that the Heat. You know, it's funny because Millennium Bug lost in the first round. They got a bronze medal in the running. In a similar event, I think it was the Petrol Sprint. I think it might have been, which is different to this their extent. The Exterminator boys brought in Dave the Tortoise.
I've seen it. It's amazing.
The Heat winners and twice semi-finalists, one of those times being a grand finalist, made a fucking tortoise that could barely move 2 feet. It makes me laugh really that Millennium Bug is technically in techno games has done way better than Exterminator Boy, which is funny to me.
Do you know what the other robot was in that one apart from Tecumseh, obviously?
I don't remember now.
It was called Don't Step on the Grass. And it was made by the same team who made Humphrey.
Oh yeah. Actually, there's also one called Sprint Fish, which was made by Peter Gibson, which is actually wasn't as bad, but it just was a bit unreliable. But it was actually moved, which is quite funny. He's actually more reliable than Wheelosaurus, but. Whatever. But yeah, I have a soft spot for Millennium Bug, just as much as Claw Topper, but unlike Claw Topper, they don't appear again, which is a shame. Cause I'd love to have seen them come back with like a Shuffle Bot or something, or something like Anarchy. Because they actually could come back, like, I could make an Anarchy in Series 5, and actually could have been quite cool, but... Oh well, what are you gonna do? Don't see every team come back. That's why we don't see Bolt from the Blue. Thank God. And finally, we have the robot, I think possibly, just like Spikosaurus, who just was a bit too fast for their own good, but still rather aggressive in their own way, was Rambot, which confused Mr. Psycho the first time he saw it, because he didn't see the massive ram on the top of it, and wondered why it was called Rambot, even though it's also a rammer.
You know what it also is, Jim? Do you know what it also is?
Wedge.
Yes.
God damn it, the only time we actually can say this entire heat. Actually, I'll in the pinball run as well. We can say it in the pinball run. But Rambot was in a different heat, or even in the swap out Judge Shred 2 for this, or Millennium Bug. It easily could have got to the second round or heat final. Easily. But of course, it ended up getting against two robots that were way more controlled and more active throughout the entire battle as opposed to one robot.
No, because I watched the match again today, and for the most part, it looked like Arnold Terminator was more troubled of the three. Like, Rambot was actually being very aggressive and getting hits in with the spikes, actually puncturing Behemoth's side. And I think because of those hits, that's what caused Behemoth to have steering problems throughout the rest of the heat.
Yeah,
because
to
the rest of the heat, it's just like looks like it's having trouble turning right and left.
Yeah, because to their credit, actually, Rambot got through the armor of Behemoth, which is rare for static spikes in the series in general, but
especially with titanium as well.
It was as good as Tornado's actually getting through Berserk 2's armor, which shows a lot more about Berserk 2 really than the Tornado. But Rambot actually is definitely. I mean, they come back later as Double Trouble in Series 6, and they actually get past the first round at least, so that's something. But I would have preferred an upgraded Rambot as opposed to Double Trouble, whose discs barely touch out of the robot. But whatever. And yeah, Rambot was just very unlucky being in its heat. Really, I mean, I would say it's better than Spikosaurus because at least it was probably more solidly built. Spikosaurus was like made out of tinfoil. Wait, it bends around.
And really, in this, even back then, you really need to have a robot that is low enough to get under everybody. Because if you have a high ground clearance like Spikosaurus did, you're guaranteed to get flipped over.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, this robot is it's only 25 centimeters tall. That shows you how tiny this robot really is. I mean, it's almost in the level of like Griffin level of height. But obviously, I guess that kind of leads into the first battle, because there's no point talking about too much Rambot too much further, because it is in the first battle, so we get to talk about it here, of course, obviously. Hands down, Rambot, Behemoth, and Arnold Terminator is by far the best opening melee of Series 4.
Absolutely.
Oh, yeah, I think we can all agree with that.
I mean, it's obviously maybe tied with a few others, maybe like, obviously the other exception, maybe Spikosaurus, Behemoth, Stinger, and Bulldog Reed 2, maybe because of that kind of similar reasons. But unlike that battle, all three robots were actually constantly in the fight. Like, Bulldog Reed just stayed in one position the entire time. Here, every robot had some highlight at some point to do something. And so do you disagree with the decision then, Brandon, would you say?
Yeah, because Rambot actually, it was actually being aggressive, and it was causing damage with the spikes. Arnold Terminator really looked like it spent a grand majority of the fight getting flipped over by Behemoth and getting slammed around by Rambot. And the only real times it seemed like Arnold was really, really aggressive was when it got under Behemoth at the beginning and then at the very end. But I don't know. Well, keep in mind, it's a 5-minute match, edited it down to like 2.5 minutes. So who knows? Maybe Arnold did a lot more.
Well, what do you think, Anderson?
I sympathise with Brandon, because especially towards the end, because Arnold looked like it was starting to die, in all fairness. But I'm also a big believer in control, you know that, and I do believe that the control from Rambot was pretty arse, to say the least. I mean, pardon the pun, but it was like a bull in a china shop, in all fairness. It was, but it was. I can see definitely why some people would think. I mean, when I first watched it as a kid, I thought it was a wrong decision. To this day, I go in and out. Like I can't make my mind up whether it should have gone to Rambot or Arnold. Like one day I think, yeah, Arnold deserved it. One day I think, nah, Rambot deserved it. All I could definitely say is Behemoth definitely deserved to go.
Oh yeah, Behemoth was most consistent. Behemoth flipped them both over at multiple times. So
yeah,
I think what it comes down to me is I personally agree with the decision, but I can't exactly see why people say the way around. It's one of those battles. It is a battle you can go in between, and we are actually going to be definitely covering this one on Fight Court in the future for our little Mr. Psycho's thing. So because it's an obvious judge decision, it has to be picked at some point. And the reason why I sort of agree with it more is because, okay, Arnold Terminator did get attacked a lot by Behemoth, that is true, but whenever it got back up, it was always into the action, attacking Behemoth or Rambot or whatever. Mostly Behemoth, really, it attacked, really. But the key for me is, what Anderson said, it's control. Rambot, most of the time, was just driving, like, there's one bit that made me laugh is where Behemoth and Arnold Terminator are, like, you know, butting heads, and you see Rambot just go wee in the background, not doing anything, and that sums the battle up to me. That's basically what most of the battle felt like to me. Rambot did come in with, you know, good hits and stuff, but it felt like mostly it was driving around and running. I mean, there's even one bit where when it gets flipped over or something, it runs into the arena wall, just going pelting it backwards into the arena wall, and it's just like, obviously because it got flipped over, but it's like, if your robot's that fast, it can just bounce into the wall and not do anything and just run around. But there was one cool shot though where Rambot slid underneath Sergeant Bash. I love that. I just felt like, yeah, Sergeant Bash, like, I've got you. Nope. And Rambot is still I mean, I think Rambot to this day, I still think it could have been at least a heat finalist, maybe a second round robot in any other heat, particularly Wild Thing's heat. Definitely could have. Yeah. I mean, it could have had a good go against Wild Thing, but here it just unfortunately was against two robots. I think they were just more controlled in their actions, whilst Rambot ultimately did cause damage and was aggressive, but it wasn't. Most of it wasn't controlled aggression. It was like Spigosaurus, although they didn't have
spinning around a lot and doing all kinds of wacky things. Yeah, I can kind of see where they were getting at.
I mean, right at the beginning of the battle, Behemoth and Arnold lifts up Behemoth. Behemoth tries to get off him, and Rambot just spins around. It takes a solid like 10 seconds, 15 seconds for Rambot to even touch another robot in an aggressive way. It just mostly just runs around. So I think that's why it gets it for me. But again, if you think that Arnold Terminator won it, it's one of those few battles that I won't say you're wrong or I think this is why you're wrong. It's more like I personally see it either way. But I think personally, in my opinion, the Rambot fight was judged correctly in my opinion. But that was just me. But it's still a really good fight though. This is not taken away from this fight. This is it's the best fight in my opinion. The best fight of the melees in Series 4 for a reason, because it's just so close. Every robot's great in it. There's a lot of speed, a lot of action, and a few little tense moments of robots going to CPZ, robots getting flipped over, that kind of thing. It's got everything, honestly, for a good Robot Wars battle.
It's what Robot Wars should be.
It's just like, it's very similar to the GBH2 battle in Series 6.
Oh yeah, that was a great battle. I felt bad.
I felt bad for GBH2 in that one, but
oh man, that battle makes my nipples tingle with joy.
Oh,
keep that
lovely.
to yourself, sir.
Yeah, we don't want to know about that, Anson. But yeah, of course, as we've discussed, Behemoth and Arnold Terminator go through. Rambot is eliminated after a very close battle. What wasn't a close battle was X-Terminator 2, Judge Dredd 2, and Millennium Bug, where this battle to me is hilarious. Like, not because it's a walker in the battle.
Exterminate was on the ropes there for a while, guys. I mean,
that bludgeoner went 2 feet near them, almost touched them. And a side panel could have flown off and gone to the electronics and hurt them. But actually, that'd been funny if that happened. That'd been funny to me.
That would have been the shittest way to lose ever.
No, the shittest way to lose is the shittest way to lose is to get wood inside you, and we know. Hypnodisc, and we know exactly which he gets splintered.
Well, that happened to Exterminator as well against Corkscrew in Series 5.
Yeah, but the reason why this battle's hilarious to me is because when you get a walkabout, excluding Anarchy and Shufflebots like Drillzilla, you usually disregard the walker, especially in these. Take you back to the Series 2 Reserve Rumble. Jimjamatic only won because no one else attacked it because they saw it as one bot did a little bit of an attack, but most of the time they either broke down, ran into CPZ, got destroyed, didn't touch Jimjamatic, and they won. In this battle, you've got 2 competent robots running around. Actually in a revenge match because Judge Dredd lost to them in the second round of their heat. Which is all the better because it would have had to face Panic Attack otherwise. But at the same time, Millennium Bug is just doing its thing, driving around, and it's sort of like the equivalent of. It's a weird analogy to go for. Has anyone seen Rocky 4?
Yes, I have.
Yeah, you see the way Ivan Drago's training for his thing, and he's running around the track, and at one point he just hits a boxing thing and just runs around again. Like, to me, that's what this match was like. It was like these two fight, like the running around was them two fighting each other, and occasionally went, oh yeah, Millennium Bug, take off a side panel, done, carry on, and then Millennium Bug was just trying its best to get into that fight, and then Millennium Bug gets flipped over because
that's my normal workout routine. Run around, punch a punching bag, and then start running around again.
I like how running around the track and punching a bag once somehow gets you good at boxing. I find that hilarious, but I mean, in all seriousness, this fight was just like, who else? I mean, unless someone broke down. What can Millennium Bug do to anyone? It was less effective than Claude Hopper, because Claude Hopper actually had the least. I mean, the weapon's there, but they're not very effective. They're just stuck to the robot, and the pieces falling off it were just. It was. I mean, it was like how many panels were left by the end of that battle? It was like barely any.
Like 2.
Yeah, 2. And I will say that flip by Judge Dredd, aided a little bit by X-Terminator, was. That was great. Seeing a walker was just kind of stuck on its back like that.
It's like a beetle.
Yeah, I mean, I mentioned it a few heats ago in Evil Evil's heat. The second most pathetic sight in Robot War Series 4 was seeing Evil Evil dead next to the wall after its battery died. The most pathetic moment is seeing Millennium Bug on its back with its legs waggling. That's pathetic in the best way possible. I mean,
Claude Hopper did the same thing, but at least it was like trying to fight off dead metal. Like it was, the legs were going, and it was slamming into dead metal's disc, but it was still helpless. One thing about because I know obviously walkers get the weight advantage. They get an extra 80 kilos, I believe. And obviously this was supposed to be a good weight advantage so that robots wouldn't flip them over. Guess what happened to both walkers in this series? They both got flipped over.
Yeah.
And I gotta give the floor flipper credit because Series 3 and much of 4, the floor flipper didn't look all that powerful. It had no problem tossing Millennium Bug across the arena.
I will say though, I could hear a slight noise of some strain at some point. I mean, it was a lot. I mean, trying to toss 160 kilograms must have been like stretching the limit of that really early flipper. It was like there was a slight kind of creak as it was flying over, and after all that, just like Claw Top and Millennium Bug couldn't land on its legs because people, because the universe hates it for some reason. But this battle's just dumb. I mean, it's probably the most one-sided battle I've seen in my life. Apart from, I would say Claw Topper's fight, but then Hammer and Tongue sucked. So honestly, Claw
Hopper. If it was Claude Hopper versus Hammer and Tongue, Claude Hopper most likely would have won.
Yeah, because there was a point in that battle where Claude Hopper was actually pushing Hammer and Tongue back. That's how bad it was. But yeah, this fight was just, it was pathetic, but the fun kind of pathetic. You knew he was probably going to go out, but you kind of enjoyed it, especially all the pieces are falling off falling off Millennium Bug, and Judge Dredd and X-Terminator sort of disregarding them at all. It was great. But, of course, you said you won't be able to say Wedge in this heat. Well, of course, there's another time you can say it in the pinball, because we have Firestorm 2 with its...
Firestorm... Oh, Wedge.
There you go.
So, let me Firestorm is one of my favorite robots of all time. I mean, the first time I saw them was the Commonwealth Carnage event, and after that performance they put together in that episode, I instantly... It was my #1 for many years to come. But Series 4, I just look at all its matches from Series 4, and it's such a good robot, but it was such a sad performance all the way throughout.
Even in the tag team terror.
Blood. Oh, that final match with Scorpion against King Bee and 101, that was one of the saddest performances I've ever seen.
And speaking of sad performances, their pinball run, was it on like half power? Because it was not moving very fast at all. All they hit was the barrels, the 75 target, and the door. And the multi-ball as well. It failed to... It almost got the 50-point target, but didn't. It almost got 2 50-point targets, but it stopped at the last moment, and the Hasbro managed to block it. It didn't seem like they were fully... Well, I don't know why they weren't going very fast.
Like, I don't know if it was because Alex was being hesitant or they were having radio issues, but yeah, there were times where they were just sitting there, and then no, I'm not going to hit Bash's target, and then he goes behind the car door, and I don't know if it was because he couldn't see, but they were sitting back there a little bit, and then this was funny. Then they start to attack Matilda. They almost flip Matilda over, but they can't get that last target. And funny thing is, I know before Apollo, I always considered Firestorm the ultimate house robot killer, because they took out Shunt, Sergeant Bash, Mr. Psycho, Refbot. I guess Cassius Chrome kind of counts because he was dead at the end. They took out Kill-A-Lot, and they kind of sort of got a good attack on Dead Metal, but yeah, it would have been funny if they flipped Matilda over. And as Tricerabot has proved, Matilda is pretty easy to topple, which I still question why no other robot aside from Tricerabot or Apollo have been able to flip Matilda while she has her disc. But
I don't know.
Maybe they're just scared. They're just scared.
It's a scary disc. But, yeah. I mean, obviously, 135 points, tied with Hypnodisc, which is not a big feat, considering the fact that Hypnodisc is not very maneuverable in the pinball arena. So, it was definitely an underperforming performance. They could have got at least 200 if they'd been more aggressive with their robot. But, again, it's Series 4. Just like how Behemoth cannot get a win or a really good victory in every series, Firestorm will never have a good battle in Series 4. That seems to be the thing.
Apart from against Dominator 2.
Which they got screwed over. They got screwed over by that one, but
they got screwed in that one, yeah, but we'll get to that.
We'll get to that one in 3 episodes' time. Weirdly enough. I know. And then we get to the second round, of course. Probably the worst battle of this heat, mainly because it was just nothing much happened in it from Behemoth and Judge Dredd 2. It was mostly just... I mean, Behemoth went into the CPZ randomly at one point, and then flipped over Judge Dredd 2, and of course, because they said before they had less power on the motors and the axe, got themselves right, which is their strength.
I felt like Behemoth was just a bit cheeky in this. I mean, like, they got owned, and then he drove out the CPZ, and then just flicked them over. It's like, oh, it's just, you know, proper filthy that was, I think, you know?
I think,
it's like when you have a mate who trolls you on gaming on live. You know, you're doing all the hard work, and he just, like, shoots you in the back of the head at the end to collect the money. It's like, you bastard! That's exactly what happened here.
I think that this was the part where you could tell Behemoth was having drive issues because they went forward, they could not turn. Judge Dredd gets behind them, pushes them into dead metal. Behemoth and lifts dead metal up, but finally is able to escape. It goes towards Judge Dredd. You can tell it still can't turn all that well. Eventually, it manages to get that one big flip in on Judge Dredd, and that was it, basically.
Yeah. Actually, it does lead to a point about Judge Dredd 2, which wasn't as clear in its opening battle or anything else, but when you see it in Upside Down, why is it two-wheel drive?
To save weight?
Maybe. But
it does look like it would benefit a four-wheel drive design, doesn't it?
It really, because it has two casters at the front, and it doesn't look like they could have got some. Could have incorporated two more motors in there, but I don't know.
Yeah,
But
it is a crazy idea. Ditch the axe and just have a lifter. Just four-wheel drive. Surely that would work.
I think that it's very difficult to maintain a robot that has two separate weapons. So I guess that they were trying to conserve power, so that they only use two-wheel drive. They got the rest of the robot is just filled with pneumatics. One's for the axe, one's for the lifting wedge, as the stat board showed. And but Judge Dredd 2, it's not. I don't think it's not the flashiest type of robot, but I still think it's pretty good. And it's just a shame that it had to go out like this because I kind of would have liked to see more, personally.
Yeah, definitely. Then, of course, we have Exterminator 2 versus Arnold Terminator. And this one, again, lasted the full time. Another Arnold Terminator match. I mean, again, it's showing off how much of a trooper it is. But unlike its battle with Behemoth, where it was a bit more debatable, it was more obvious. It was obvious that Arnold lost this one. Unfortunately, I mean, it put up a good fight.
Apart from that cheeky lift, it gave it a cheeky lift, didn't it? I got it on its side.
Yeah,
that was about it.
That was the only thing it did. Apart from that, I mean, Behemoth actually, X-Terminator, to its credit, really slammed Arnold against the wall a couple of times. It showed its power had not been lost from Series 3.
They were just bullying Arnold.
It did feel by the end of it, Arnold was moving very slow. That flipper was barely moving at all by the end of that battle, and you could tell it was a beaten machine. Arnold by the end of it, because it was like intact, but it was just, you could tell its motors were on its last legs, and if it had lasted a minute longer, I imagine Arnold might have just stopped or barely moved by that point, or the weapon might have just stopped entirely.
It was in dire need of a hot cup of tea and a nice warm fireplace with a newspaper.
Yeah,
that's what it was. Knackered, basically.
It really was. It was the definition of need to go to a retirement home of a robot. But at least it came back in Series 5, Extreme 1. But oh well. I mean, most of the fight was a lot of just pushing and shoving, minus that one cheeky little flip from them. But again, it was kind of a standard thing for Exterminator. A lot of it was just kind of the axe was doing nothing. I think that's when they realized they got to change the axe out, because my god, the axe just bonk.
That, and they also had a gas leak apparently, so that's why they had to put the lifting arm on.
Yeah,
is that what happened?
I think they had a gas leak, but I think they chose the I think they chose the lift as well because it was a better weapon to go against Behemoth. Because I mean, the axe would have done nothing against Behemoth. So, also speaking of that battle, Behemoth versus Exterminator 2. Again, one of the few times the seeds make it to the heat final. Obviously, the most notable one of that also probably be included would be Razor and Pussycat, the most notable one I can think of. There's a few others, I think.
You know what's another thing to note about this match?
What?
It's the battle of the Pritchards.
Yeah, Pritchard versus Pritchard.
Pritchard was a very popular name in Robot Wars.
It really was. I mean, that's going to be the name of the. That's going to be the name of this heat.
You had ICU in Series 6. Kevin Pritchard from Evil Weevil and Panic Attack.
Although ICU is more
how many of them were
though.
actually related.
Well, I think ICU was definitely.
They had to be. They had to.
Come on! It looks like Series 3 Exterminator.
Series X-terminator. I mean, even the team captain kind of looked like Marlon Pritchard without the goatee.
I think it was probably they must have been related or something. But yeah, this final was very weird because the first half, Behemoth was in complete control of this. It was flipping. I mean, it did a 360 on Exterminator, flipping it like slowly, but kind of rolled it over. And Exterminator was able to self-right all the time, which is really. I mean, it showed actually that flipper and its side arms combination actually was really good. But for some reason, I don't know if the weapon stopped working. I don't know if that was because of the damage that Rambot caused it in the first round. But Behemoth just seemed to run away and not do any damage and just
their gear slipped.
Oh.
Yeah.
Once again, something has happened to Behemoth.
That's probably why, because from that first match and the Judge Shred match, you can tell they were moving very slowly, and that was probably the gearing messing up on them. But you know what? I will. Or you want to say, Andrew?
Sorry, I was just going to say it also happened in Southern Annihilator.
Oh, he did. That's why they had to opt out.
I think that's what caused them to lose in the World Championship as well, because they were beating Razor, and then towards the very end they were going very slowly. So
yeah, the same problem happening twice, which is again the Behemoth curse.
I'd also like to argue a bit as well with Pitbull as well. It was again really quick owning Pitbull, and then Pitbull got a good attack in on it, but then it just sort of, if you look at it when it drove away from the sidewall over the floor spike, it was just a bit slower and a bit more jittery.
Yeah, It was definitely a battle of two halves, with the first half, Exterminator being exterminated, so to speak, by Behemoth, and then really, obviously, because of the the gears were bringing all that, it was pretty obvious that they were down for the count. There was times where they were just running away. There was bits where their flipper wasn't firing, or they were just getting lifted up by Exterminator multiple times. It was kind of sad of it, especially because Behemoth. Honestly, if nothing had happened to Behemoth, this would have been their heat final, hands down. They would have been Exterminator, but it's just again the Behemoth curse. I mean, it wasn't as lucky as Series 3, but still, it's.
I will say this: out of all the bullshit finishes or all the bullshit losses that Behemoth has had, this one was the least bullshit. There was no house robot interference. There was no dumb crusher, pushy, crazy arms. There was no floor dildos. It was just Behemoth just had a malfunction, and boom, Exterminator just capitalized.
Actually, I'd probably say it's more Series 8 because it was more of a straight fight with Carbide, and they just lost because they weren't able to take the hits. I'd probably say more that one, but because I mean, it wasn't Behemoth's internals that broke; it was more the fact that Carbide was just better than it. So I don't know. Yeah. But either way, this was obviously Heat N, Exterminator 2 going to the semi-finals, and it does really well in the semi-finals. As we, yeah, that noise sums up Exterminator's Series 4 semi-finals.
It started strong.
Yeah.
It started strong. Give it that.
Okay, it started strong. Yeah, just like Behemoth did in its Heat final, but then.
And it helped Wildly get Kilowat's tits out, so I suppose it's not.
Yeah, that's something. Brazzers.
Then maybe Marlon saw Kilowatt naked and got distracted the rest of the match.
Yeah. Can I just say that just quickly that this is in my opinion, not the best Heat final, but it's one of the best Heat finals of the series, I'd say.
Yeah, I probably agree. It's definitely a very, very good Heat final. I mean, mainly because both robots were working till the very end, which is not happen very often in some Heat finals. I mean, to say which one's the best one is actually Smidsy and Panic Attack was pretty decent. In the next one,
Smidsy and Panic Attack was, and in my opinion as well, despite the controversy, Wheelie Big Cheese and Suicidal Tendencies was a very good one.
That was a good fight. Up until the track bit, it was actually a very good fight anyway.
Well, I liked the track bit because I felt that it added a bit more tension to it, especially considering Wheelie Big Cheese was nearly getting it in the pit like 3 or 4 times before finally going in itself. And
I mentioned two of the Heat finalists from the next Heat, Heat O. Which, unlike the past the two heats before the Heat N, where they were kind of okay, had some memorable moments, weren't that great. This is also a very good heat as well, I think, Heat O.
Sure.
I mean, it's nice to see Panic Attack actually have the proper. Obviously, the first robot was Panic Attack, obviously I just mentioned there, but Panic Attack finally having the fucking gyro stabilizer that it needed. Because my god, in Series 3, it was a champion, but it didn't feel like a champion in some at points. And I mean, it took a long time to even get Axios into its into its lifters before it could do anything, and it drove in the pit against 101 in the international special, which shows you how hard it was, how much of a balls ache it was to drive. It's is the best. I mean, this one, I think the Series 4 and 5 version, which aren't that much different from each other, I think are the best version of Panic Attack, personally, because...
yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
Series 4 and 5, because it was so controlled, especially in Series 5, and actually Extreme 1, the battles they had, was so controlled, so precise, and especially its pitting of Barbarous in Series 5. It was so great, but...
The Series 5 version, I don't know if it's me, but it seemed a lot slower than the Series 4 version.
I think it was. I'm not sure.
And then I don't know what in the world happened to it in the semifinals, but against Pussycat, it went completely out of control.
And we never mentioned
this
this.
Radio reception problem, didn't they, or something like that?
We never mentioned the Series 6 version. Never talk about it.
What, the gold bar on wheels?
God. I mean, even the forks look cheap. They're like made out of plastic. They just don't look. Also, they're like fused together as well.
And don't even mention the Series 7 version, for God's sake.
The
I mean,
Series 7...
No. The Series 7 version was fine. It was driven by the wrong person. That was probably the reason why it was rubbish.
Well, that and the fact that it had no stream mech, was a lot flimsier these days. To be honest, Panic Attack, the series was outdated anyway. So.
Yeah, I mean, Series 5 was the last last series it was viable in, honestly. Yeah. But it still lasted longer than the other robots.
Panic Attack actually returned for a one-off match at Robots Live, and Behemoth just creamed it.
Yeah, I can imagine. It never did well in the BattleBots, and it was over there either. So
one thing I also noticed, and aside from the Series 3 fight against Firestorm, I don't think Panic Attack's stream mech ever worked.
No, it didn't really make much sense. It was such a big robot as well.
It never really got a chance to. I mean, apart from its battle against both its battles against Firestorm in Extreme 1 and in Extreme 2, it never actually got flipped. It never got flipped, and even when it got flipped there, it got flipped on its side. So of course the stream wouldn't be able to lift up to himself, right?
Yeah. Also, what I can't believe is Panic Attack in this series is 16 centimeters high. That's just over half those little 30 centimeter rulers you get. That's mental. Although they didn't.
I'm looking at a ruler right now.
I know. I can't believe that. I mean, it's got to be that high. It's not 16 centimeters long or wide. It's got to be height. Although I will say, because the little fun fact things they put for the robots, I do have this one. The fun fact for Panic Attack, which I got to admit is that rhymed, but also I do think this is kind of a weird fun fact to say. Shell is bulletproof. Because of all those bullets are going to be hitting Panic Attack in the Robot Wars, we need to know that.
There's no bullets in Robot Wars. What's the point?
I know exactly. I don't know why it made a difference. I mean,
because an axe firing at you is a similar speed and power ratio as a bullet.
Does it?
Yeah. Hence why when Steg 2 had bulletproof casing, Iron managed to do some damage to it, and then that's why they laughed and said, "Oh, it's not very good bulletproof, is it? If it's not."
Especially if Iron Ore can hit it. Bloody hell.
Yeah.
I'd give Iron. I think you get too much flack for Iron Ore, because if you watch its extended matches, it does a lot more than it does in the TV show. I don't think it deserves the PS Day shit award.
Plus, it was the first ever robot to self-right with its axe. So.
That was pretty cool. But it's not me to decide the piece of shit. The piece of shit is decided by Alex this series, so take it up with him. I mean, you can always tell. I mean, if you've already seen Heat K, you know what his piece of shit is.
If he chooses Little Fly, then he's an idiot.
Well, take that up with Alex then. But
I tried, but he refused to message me back. It's because he knows I'm right, probably.
And of course, the runner-up of this heat, which they finally managed to get some non-interference this time. It was, of course, sorry mate, I didn't see you. Also known as Smitzy. Dirty. And I mean, my God, I mean, from Series 3, could you get any more unlucky in Series 3 by just having no signal? What? I mean, again, that was a series. That seemed to be a Series 3 theme.
In the heat that it could fucking win as well.
I know.
Which is really upsetting.
Against Ratus, a robot that was like was so long they had to cut it in half. Still managed to beat, and also a robot that may have ran into the wall and ran into like dead metals, and half its armor fell off. Somehow they got lost to them because that was the interference problem. Honestly,
they had Spectrum radios back then. I don't think Smidsy would have had that issue.
I'm not saying. I mean, I'm not saying it's the best, but it's definitely in that kind of top 3 ratio. It's one of the best robots not to win a heat. Smidsy, because it seems to always get very close, or get to a lot of heat finals and all that, and does well in some events, but it never seems to ever manage to get the way how it does, and
it nearly beat Chaos 2 in Series 5, for God's sake.
Yeah, it did, and of course when we see High 5 in Series 8, which is sort of the predecessor, the kind of honorary Smidsy. It lost to Worm. So take for that what you will.
I will say, Smidsy, I believe, has had more owners than any other robot in the UK, because after the show ended, I guess the Smidsy team sold it to somebody, and I know Gary Cairns had it at one point, and then they gave it to the High Five team. I think they gave it to Team Enigma at one point. I'm not sure, but I understand it, because Smidsy, if you're looking to start building your own big heavyweight robot, it's a good starting package. It's a big box with 4 wheels in it.
It's relatively simple as well for a heavyweight. I mean, obviously the jaws are probably the most complicated thing in it, really. It's just a 4-wheel box mostly, but it's a good 4-wheel box. I mean, I love the idea of the crushing jaws and the lifter. It mostly uses as a lifter, honestly. It wasn't really much. It wasn't much of a crusher. It wasn't like a
It was more of a lifter. That's why they got rid of the jaw in Series 6 and put the lifting scoop thingy on there.
Yeah, and a little disc as well later on, didn't they? But this is basically like not too much different. This is basically almost identical to the Series 3 version. But I love the look of it in like Series 7. The angry little eyes on it. I don't know why, but without the crusher thing. But yeah, the Smitty guy is always great. I mean, I love the name of it alone. It's just I love those kind of names. And for some reason, was it Series 5? They said it was from cyberspace.
From cyberspace, Smidsy.
Sure, that confused the fuck out of me when I was younger. I had no idea where cyberspace was, and I never heard that phrase before. So I thought.
I'm sure a lot of people weren't even sure what the internet was in 2001.
I didn't get the internet until like 2004, something like that. So so I didn't even know what that was back then. I was like, "What's cyberspace?" And Mum went,
"I had internet in 2001."
Oh, get you, eh? But yeah. Smidsy is a decent robot. I do like it. Again, it tends to get me more unlucky. Not as unlucky as Behemoth, obviously, who actually have more potential. But Smidsy is still, it's a cool robot. I don't really hate it. It's one of those robots. It's one of those robots that you find very few people hate. I've noticed. It's kind of it's a bit like something. You know what I mean? It's hard to really hate it. It's better than something, but it's hard to kind of hate it in a way. It's just kind of it's enjoyable. Like and Robo Chicken as well. That's another one I think no one hates. And Deertor.
I remember quite a few years ago. I saw a comment on YouTube, and someone said that Smidsy was a rip-off of Panic Attack.
Oh,
and I'm like, what the fuck are you on about?
How is it even a rip-off?
It looks
nothing like Panic Attack.
I would say some might say it's a ripoff of Tornado, which in itself doesn't make sense. And Smidsy came first.
Yeah, and even then, Tornado's not just a box with spikes on it in Series 4. How is that a ripoff of anything? It's more of a ripoff of Penetrator, which is kind of sad to say, but
it's one of those things where I looked at it and I just looked at it for like 2 seconds and just started laughing to myself.
I love that.
I didn't even bother replying. I was like, nah, he's beyond reason. That guy, there's no way.
Rip off of I love that. If anything, right. Do you know the funny thing is, right? That's what gets me about that comment, right? Smidsy's the robot he chose as a rip off of Panic Attack. Yet Evil Weevil, made by the same guy one of the same guys from the team, who has the same lifting forks as Panic Attack virtually. How was that not considered the rip-off? He's like, no, it's Smidsy. Smidsy's the rip-off, clearly. Oh.
You are no son of mine.
God,
Evil Weevil was also like a completely different shape to Panic Attack.
It was, but it was the same team member and the same lifting forks almost. It was alright. It's more of a rip-off than Smidsy. Let's say that. But that's actually quite hilarious. I'm not gonna lie. Smidsy's a rip-off of Panic. A bit ironic that both of them facing each other in the Heat final then.
It's like Chaos 2's rip-off of Roadblock. Did you not know?
I had to know that now. Next we're hearing that Beast of Bomb is rip-off of Roadblock. Oh, wait a minute.
Twist is a rip-off of Berserk 2. Damn it.
Oh god, that's an insult. Now, of course.
Speaking of rip-offs, or do you want to? Or do you want to talk about the other second round one?
I was going to talk about Agrabot 2 first, but I don't know because Agrabot 2, I'm going to say this right. I mean, the original Agrabot wasn't very good.
Mm.
I mean, yeah, it wasn't. I mean, it had a spike that was so far at the back it couldn't do anything. Its wedge was so big and yet so bulky, and for a massive robot, it didn't have any like presence in the arena. It was so flimsy and rubbish. This version of Agrabot is, it's smaller.
I consider it the best version of Agrabot because, for one thing, it's invertible. So if it gets flipped over, you can just run either way up. And while its weapons, the lifting nose and the rear spike, they weren't all that effective. It at least looked like a decent robot. Like with that, and then you have Agrabot 3, which the nose is supposed to lift up and down, but the caster always breaks, and the jaw at the back, which did absolutely nothing, wasn't going to be able to grab onto anything. Agrabot at least kind of did stuff in this heat.
Yeah, they did more stuff. I mean,
Agrabot's a rip-off of Smidsy.
Oh, that's definitely true. There's no doubt about that.
But actually, here's the thing about and you're saying this version is your favorite version of the Agrabot robots.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm gonna flat out say I love the team, right? I have never liked Agrabot, ever. I've never gone. I love this robot. I mean, it's sort of like Weldor. It's such a forgettable seed. Like, you forget, oh yeah, this robot made it to a heat final. Why? Because its opponent's pinned itself to the floor. Oh yes, that's the one. And who did it beat before? Binky. Yeah, so it never really has...
Was it reliable? Yeah, man up. There you go. Oh.
Was it reliable? It lost to Blade. Yeah, well, yeah, real reliable.
Yeah, in real fairs, that's kind of like a twist of irony, isn't it? Like, it survives Razor, for fuck's sake, and then Blade nudges it, oh, it's dead.
Yeah, pretty much. It was even more pathetic by the fact that it kind of just rolled into the middle of the arena and stopped on its own power. But I mean, I've never really cared for any of the Agrabot robots. Like, even, you know, I mean, yeah, this one's okay. The Series 3 version, no, the third version. Sorry, I mean, the Agrabot 3. It's just a wedge. I mean, the weapon sucks, but it is just a wedge. This one's got sort of a partial wedge, and this one's still got the spike at the back, which makes you laugh. The harpoon. The crossbow, they call it, sorry. Which is, why did they bring that back? Because they thought, oh, in Series 3 we didn't get enough use out of that. Let's use it again. There's a reason why I don't use it, because it sucks. And then the massive claw layer on, which again couldn't grab anything. It's like a Fisher-Price toy. But I mean, again, the team's great. I just don't care about any of these robots at all. They're just nothing to me. But whatever. You gonna say sorry?
Nothing. I forgot what I was going to say.
Fair enough.
I'll say this: it looked like it had foam padding in it when Kidlock crushed it.
Well, you gotta have foam padding in there to protect the electronics, otherwise it gets too hot.
True. And then possibly one of my favourite joke entries of this series. Possibly because I love it because it's so useless, but it's fun to look at. Well, okay, a certain thing it did that was pretty useful, but of course it is Saw Point. The robot with just blades for wheels. They went full out. What was it? What was the BattleBots robot with blades for wheels? Was that Ginsu?
Ginsu.
Yeah.
It was like it was trying to. It was trying to like be a copy of both Ginsu and Gnome 2, I believe was Jerome Miles' old bot.
Jesus.
But in a way, Saw Point is actually more successful since it actually won a match. Ginsu, I believe, has fought multiple times, never won a match. It could have beaten Megalodon, but then it flipped itself over, and that was it.
God, Gnome 2.
Gnome 2.
God, it was so bad. He basically made it a piece of shit wolf for BattleBots. That's how bad it was. But
one thing I noticed about Saw Point as well, now that I've seen the higher quality versions of the episodes, the scoop can move.
Yeah, it can. It can. Yeah. Also, they came out with this Demolition Man in Series 6 and 7, which actually I do like the design of them. Like, it's not really good, but especially this. I love the Series 6 one with the massive little hand, like the axe coming over.
Yeah, kind of like Arnold's axe.
Yeah, the Series 6 version looks like Arnold A on steroids.
Yeah, I do like that. It's like Arnold A crossed with Fatboy Tin, and you get Demolition Man. Like like from Yu-Gi-Oh! Fusions. That's what a fusion of that would look like. But also, actually, this is.
The thing I didn't get about Saw Point was that the team actually thought it was a dangerous robot.
I don't think they did.
Said it is. No, they did. They said it in their pre-battle introduction of the robot. They said this is the robot. They went over it all, and he literally looked you in the eyes as if he was going to murder you and say, "We have a very dangerous machine."
You do realize he was probably joking, right?
Oh, he wasn't. You could see he was being serious.
He could be incredibly sarcastic.
You look at the robot. It's like every edge on the bot had like a spike or a sharp point to it. It legit looked like if you could touch this thing, it'll slice your hand open.
Yeah. Actually, one thing I'm still slightly confused about, they seem to drive it backwards, I swear. Like, it looks like the scoop should be at the front.
I know, yeah, that spike's actually the front of the robot.
I still never believe that. It just looks weird. But also, one last thing, which I have to say, again, it's hard to believe, but it is surprisingly true. Saw Point has one of the quickest KOs of any robot.
Yep.
Against the next robot we'll talk about. Against the next robot, of course, the box on wheels incarnate once again, but it's now blue instead of red. Oblivion 2. And the other funny thing is, when people look at Oblivion in Series 2, people think it's funny they went from that to Supernova. I think Oblivion 2 is weirder, because at least Oblivion worked. Oblivion 2 half the time just seemed to have this thing where its armor was so weak that if it bent slightly, it would just stop the robot entirely. It happened in the pinball, and it happened.
That's what happened here.
Yeah, against Saw Point of all robots. Saw Point Saw Point didn't like come out really fast either. It just rolled on top of it, and that was enough to break it. And the axe, actually, to its credit, the axe looked quite fast and deadly, but it was a bit too long for my liking.
It's an electric axe, so it really wouldn't have a whole lot of power to it. It's fast, but it wouldn't get through anything.
Also, it's probably going to win the most boxy box award of Series 4. I mean, it's like a prototype of Cataclysmic Variable. It really is, but except they made Supernova, which is actually a robot. So this is just.
The reason why Sawpoint was able to KO it was because it bent their front armor down, which basically raised their wheels off the floor.
That's pretty bad.
Yeah, they made a. See, this is what I don't get. Right? They made a robot that was invertible, but they also made it have a really low ground clearance, so they couldn't get flipped over.
Well, you still need to have a low clearance.
Yeah, have one or the other, for God's sake, don't you? Come on.
It's a weird robot. It lasted like 2 seconds, I think in total was the KO or something like that. 2 or 3 seconds.
I think it was 2 or 3 seconds. Yeah.
It was almost as fast as Dominator 2, which is quite sad. But the thing is, like Oblivion 2, it's one of those things. If this is the last time we ever saw them, I would have been like, the Oblivion team was okay. Thank fuck for Supernova. Like right off the bat in Series 5, even in Series 5, its first go, it actually does have a good go against Behemoth. Yep. And it's weird because actually normally when you see a first try, like the first 13 Black, the first Terahertz, it's not the best, but it's okay. Their first Supernova was actually really good. They were just unlucky against Behemoth. But
it's like you said before. People that when they get into the sport, they start out small. The Oblivion team obviously started out small in Series 2 with the Wedge, and then they put an axe on, and they kept learning and working their way up there, and boom! Now you got one of the most destructive horizontal spinners in the UK today.
Yes, and I will say actually, it's funny because in Series 2 they were like students, and by Series 9 they are the masters. They really are. Series. One thing I will mention quickly about the Series 9 look of Supernova. While I think it's obviously different to the other incarnations, obviously better because it actually lasted long. It was actually slightly more durable than the one that would gyro itself into the pit. But the one thing I find ironic about the Series 9 Supernova is it looked like Mayhem, who they thrashed in Series 7.
Yeah,
which I find
definitely a resemblance.
I find that really hilarious. When we've beaten you up, can we take your design as well? Yes, okay. I don't know if they thought about it, if it was just a coincidence, but either way, I just find it really funny that they decided to choose that design, and when they went off a robot, they completely thrashed. It's almost like the challenge belt of robot designs. And then finally, another robot, a bit like Rambot, I wouldn't say as good as Rambot, but definitely a robot I think personally was put up a good fight in their first round, despite being against 2 really good robots. Was Overkill GTI. The original Overkill wasn't that bad, in fairness. It almost pitted 1-1 at one point, but it was mostly just too unreliable. It just stopped a lot. Its interference had problems with it, and then this series they actually came out with a weapon, and to its credit, I like the double flipper look of it. It's actually quite a unique idea. It'd be like
that idea kind of confused me because basically you have 2 separate lifters and one. Wouldn't it make more sense just have just one big flipper so that it can have more power to flip both robots over?
Maybe. I mean, it would make more sense when but they got a nice flip on Smidsy at one point, and again,
sure.
I mean, the only reason they lost probably was partially because one of their tires burst, so they were kind of like limping around at one point.
Well, that and Panic Attack is really absolutely gangbanged it.
For some reason, I'm not sure why they went. Maybe because it was the weakest one. Maybe I don't know. But it was. I mean, honestly, for a next version of a robot, I thought it was definitely at least an improvement over the original Overkill. I mean, Overkill wasn't terrible anyway. But it was again, it was one of those. I think it was just slightly unlucky being in that battle. Again, if it was in any of the a few other hell, if it was in the first other battle that Agrobots saw point and Oblivion too, it might have got past the first round probably. But well, it would have because Oblivion would have died, so probably. But yeah, it just happened to be against a good robot. And again, they actually never enters again after this, which is a little bit of a shame. But I don't know. Oh, what are you gonna do?
I think they entered it into some live events, but I've never really seen much of it since.
Oh yeah, actually, the live event version they actually chose after the series ended. There's a version of it that's painted black, and it actually looks a lot cooler in black, and it doesn't any of the color schemes they had before, like the kind of see-through and the orange color. And actually, I love the black color of it, but apart from that, it's sort of average. It's not terrible. It's more, I mean, as fodder goes, it's not the worst fodder. You could have been Maverick, so you know, there's fodder robots.
The weapons worked. Mavericks couldn't get underneath a candle.
Yeah, exactly. It wasn't that bad. I mean there are some fodder robots do all right. Like I'm trying to remember one. VMAX did all right for a fodder robot technically.
Oh, it wasn't a fodder bot. It was a solid robot. It just got trashed by Hypnodisc.
It imploded. But of course that'll be for Heat P. But that is Heat O next time. Joining me for Heat O will be Alex and Nate. So that'd be quite nice to see.
Well, have fun.
I will.
I always have to put up with Nate, and you're gonna have to put up with more of him.
Yay. Nah, it's fine.
Don't worry. He has a lot of stories to tell. I'm sure he'll liven it up.
I'm sure he'll make the podcast 2 hours long. I'm sure it'll be fine. But yeah, of course that was we're just in Heat N there. That'll be Heat O next time. Remember all the things I said at the beginning of the. He's still with us. Still remember all the stuff we said in the first. All the Kickstarter, so on, still on Facebook. Simon's birthday. Respect to Alex's grandmother, and of course my stream coming up on Sunday. So I'm Jimjamatic signing off.
I've been Anderson 9132, the Robot Wars Guru.
And I'm the Hardcore Kid saying peace out.